how they can intervene or raise these things as well. Because I'm a resident of Johannesburg, and I must say, there's some very good roads in Joburg, and there's some roads that are not so good. So it's a matter we will raise with the department to see how they can also raise these things at different spheres, in different spheres of government. But thank you for raising that. But I think certainly in the when we deal with the third quarter performance report of the department, we'll raise the issue that you're raising about the provincial roads, the provincial robots, etc. And I know there's quite a bit of work that's being done now on robots. So I think that will be the opportune time for us to raise those things. But MMC, while I have you online, I do want to indicate that as a portfolio committee, we were dealing with what we call a study on the political economy of transport in the province of Gauteng. And perhaps you could look into it and come back to me, or come back to us offline. But the only municipality that didn't present to us was Johannesburg on the study on the political economy of transport. I can give you a call after this meeting and we can discuss with you. But we're about to complete that report. It's quite a big report. And we're missing the input from Johannesburg. So I just thought I'd alert you here. Maybe you can check with your officials. And we'll have to see if there is a report that how we can include it into our final report. But MMC, thank you very much. What I'm going to do is quickly check with members of the portfolio committee if there's any questions in terms of the presentation we've received on the integrated fare management system. And then we'll move on to the next municipality. So let me check with Member Mfikwe and then Member Du Plessis.
Thanks, Chair. Greetings to the MMC. Maybe to just add on, Chair, on the points that you just made, that MMC, if we had gotten Joburg to come do the presentation, when they were invited to come present on the political economy study, some of the issues that you've raised would have been covered in the presentation as well, because the study seeks to see where are the gaps and how do we get the department to assist the municipalities. On a number of occasions, Joburg was invited, they did never rocked up, we did not even get an apology. So I thought we should indicate that. So as you engage, Chair, it probably means that in the next portfolio committee, Joburg must still come and present. We can't have a report that is just submitted to the department, to the committee, and we haven't engaged with it and gotten clarity from that report. The presentation talks about a long-standing matter, MMC. The use of e-ticketing or the cards in the city is not just a 5-year thing. It was something that was discussed many years ago. You would know that I have history in the city, having been an MMC myself for quite a long time. And the plan was adopted then, including the transport integration plan, which was going to be a bedrock of us moving from cash to a cashless system when we introduced the Rea Vaya buses. And it was supposed to actually even integrate, Chair, the taxi service, including the train services, including PATCO as well. So I don't get from the presentation that we're talking about outside service provider, except, which I think is a good thing, that we would want to integrate the use of the services of the market into the ticketing system that the Department of Transport in Joburg wants to introduce. But then the broader transport integration plan, broadly, we are not talking about it, you know, and we still want to keep our silos between the municipality and the province as well. When in fact the integrated transport plan talks about integrating the public transport system in the province, inclusive of the municipalities, not assisting on supporting, but developing an integrated Gauteng plan that would include the municipalities. We are not talking about that. So I would want to get a sense, where are we in terms of the broad integrating of public transport and these systems in the move towards a cashless system? Basically, the presentation, as I'm saying, it talks about Rea Vaya, the market, and the metro buses. What about, do we have internally made arrangements or thoughts that says this is how, and the timelines of us integrating the other public transport services that our people are usually using most of the time? So the city has its own integrated transport plan, Chair, and it includes this. Maybe in the next presentation we could ask the city to present to the committee the implementation of its own transport integration plan, you know, and going forward. Just also as a rider, Chair, maybe we could ask the MMC to also give to the portfolio committee what is happening with the Rea Vaya buses. We've gotten news and stories that a portion of the Rea Vaya buses has been or is being under business rescue. So if we could be given just a brief by the MMC and the department around that. Thanks, Chair.
Member Du Plessis.
Chair, thank you very much. Yes, if we could just also allude to it, just implementation timelines. Is there any dates, any times, any thinking about how the implementation will go ahead? And then also, like the member just mentioned, you know, integration of a provincial system as well as the other partners. Thank you.
Thanks. Let me also, Member Dolly Dwaba, online, anything from you? Okay, let me raise just one or 2 points, if I may, as well as a committee member. I mean, I think the report presentation is quite detailed, talking about the plans, the direction that City of Joburg is going in. But the one thing I possibly missed, and maybe it's there, maybe I missed it, is, but how does this so the presentation spoke about a ticketing system. Okay, so if I want to get off a Rea Vaya bus, for example, and I want to get onto the Gautrain, how is the City of Joburg interacting with Gautrain, for an example, so that I don't have to get another card? And that's the issue, because you walk around with a big bunch of cards. You must have one for this, one for that, one for another thing. And the same, if I get off the train at Rhodesfield Station, which is in Ekurhuleni, and I want to use Ekurhuleni's bus service, how are you going to be integrating with Ekurhuleni? And the same with the City of Tshwane, because that's what an integrated ticketing system is about. I should be able to use a system, a service in Ekurhuleni, get onto a bus in Johannesburg, and get onto the Gautrain or a Metro Rail, and get off in Pretoria, Tshwane, and use a bus in Tshwane. So that's something I didn't pick up, as to how is Johannesburg looking at this integration across the province. So I think those are really the questions. MMC Kunene, what I would suggest, we will interact with your office, if you're okay with that, on the input to the study on the political economy of transport. And when we schedule that, I then suggest we deal with the issue of the Rea Vaya bus service. I'm a little bit worried about time, because we've got 2 more municipalities. So if you're okay with that, MMC, let's stick to the integrated fare management system, and then we will schedule a session with yourself and the department in a committee meeting, if that's all right. So can I hand back to you, MMC Kunene, and your team, just
yes,
to respond
to
inputs by members on the integrated fare management system. Thanks, MMC.
Thank you very much, Chair. We are obviously guided by you. We will then await that time. I think this report might, I don't know which year it was supposed to be done, but maybe it was during the time of the DA, Mayor that Joburg did not participate, but I'm not aware of it since I've been the MMC, but maybe the officials can clarify us. And indeed, I think that we would want to make those inputs. And once you have communicated with the office, then we will sit down and put something together as quickly as possible. Thank you very much. Brampo, you can then respond to the other questions. I do know, Chair, that the AFC that we have is exactly what Gautrain is using. And I think it was a question of starting in the city of Johannesburg, getting things running, being in place, and then going outside of the city. But maybe the officials can give better technical explanation to that. Thank you.
Thanks very much for that, MMC. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for that. I appreciate the input from the members. Just two issues. So the SANRAL ABT, which is a National Department of Transport, what we call initiative, is exactly that. It will be a public transport wallet that you can use throughout public transport. And we probably will be implementing, we were going to implement that probably in the next 8 to 12 months. That will be up and running. On the side of the ticketing as well for how will you use Gautrain, for instance, the plan is also to include what we call EMV Open Loop, which is the bank card system, which is similar to what Gautrain has, and we're definitely going to have that within the next 12 months as well. So both of them are going to be ready. Where I think we as a province need to go to is we need to start talking about not just integration, but actually saying to somebody, if you've taken Gautrain and you're using Rea Vaya, what discount is that person going to get vis-a-vis, you know, all those things, because that transfer must be seen as one journey. So we're not there yet. We're still doing some governance studies together with Gautrain on that. We have had meetings with Gautrain, and not Gautrain, sorry, Gauteng Department of Roads, Public Transport and Works, I think it is. We have them, I think, once every month regarding that and how we're going to integrate. There is also plans, we're going to be also integrating one of our corridors, we call it the Northeast Corridor, where Ekurhuleni and Gauteng, and Joburg are going to be using the same infrastructure for, to basically load passengers and take them to different parts. So there is those plans in place. It's just a matter of us, as I said, agreeing on the governance. The technology can support anything. It's just we need to be guided by the governance structures of province versus national versus local. Thank you.
Okay. No, thank you very much. It's clear that there is work being done, but it's also clear that this integration is still a bit of a long way off. We're not quite there yet. But I think your presentation really does help us in dealing with the topic that we're dealing with. So thank you very much. MMC Kunene, thank you very much just for the presentation we've received from yourselves and for the inputs that you've made as well. Please don't leave us. We want you to hear from what Ekurhuleni is saying and Tshwane is saying. And as I say, we'll schedule that meeting and we'll deal with the other report. We'll speak to you after this meeting. So on that note, I want to then recognize the MMC of Transport in the city of Tshwane, MMC Katlego Matebe, and the team from Tshwane. MMC, I hope you are still online with us. You were just now. Or are you here?
Good afternoon, Chair.
No, thanks very much, MMC, and welcome. And again, and thank you for being part of our portfolio committee meeting. We hope that it's been of interest to you as well on the other matters we've been discussing. But I'd like to hand over to you, MMC, and your team to take us through the presentation from the city of Tshwane on the integrated fare management system and where Tshwane is. And may I just also express appreciation, MMC, to your team and yourself for the input we received on the political economy of transport. That presentation and what was presented to us by the City of Tshwane is part of the document that's being finalized. So MFC, can I hand over to yourself for any comments you may want to make, and then for you to then direct the team member that's going to do the presentation. Thanks very much, MMC.
Good afternoon, Chair, and thank you very much for the invite, and good afternoon to the MEC and the honorable members there, including my MMC colleagues from other municipalities and all the officials. Mr. Peguli Tongana, the Group Head of Roads and Transport from the City of Tshwane, will do the presentation. However, Chair, if you may just allow me just 30 seconds just to say something regarding the previous presentations. Am I allowed just 30 seconds?
Yes, sure. I'll time you for 30 seconds.
Yes, yeah, no, I just want to point out that we do have a memorandum of understanding that we have signed with the Gauteng Provincial Department, and many of the problems that were raised by the City of Joburg and some of the comments that were made by the MEC, I am hoping that they would be addressed through the implementation of that MOU. Thank you. I hope I managed to do it in 30 seconds.
You managed to do that in 15 seconds, I think, so you've got more time if you need it.
Thank you. No, I'm good. All the
Great.
other things I have an open one-on-one channel with the MEC. I'm good with the way in which we are handling things. I'll allow the team there to present, and they'll also respond to questions. Only if they need my input, then I'll then come back and make some additions. But they are well able and capable to answer all the questions. Thank you.
Thanks, MMC. Matebe, much appreciated. Over to you, sir, sitting next to me. Tembisa, can you flight the presentation? And please, Tembisa, if you could just make sure we get all the presentations. Sometimes it's easier for us to follow on our gadgets. Are we flighting it? May I just ask for the rest of us here, I know it's hot in here, I know it's long, but this is how we work in the committee. We don't have short meetings, we sometimes take time. Can we just keep the noise levels down a little bit, please? It's a little bit distracting for those of us who are trying to follow. So if we can just keep the noise levels down a little bit. Thank you. Over to you.
Good afternoon, Chairperson. Good afternoon, members of provincial legislature that are here, and all protocol observed. Chair, maybe just to, before I start, I just needed to indicate that we tried as much as possible to stick to the script and the question that were asked. In the main, the question about where are we in terms of implementation of the one ticketing system in the province and in our area of operation. And also, just to indicate the status in terms of where we are with the implementation of the ticketing system in Tshwane. In answering the first question, I think the answer is we are not yet there. The issue here is that we do have a ticketing system, but that ticketing system is currently operational within the jurisdiction of Tshwane. As indicated in the presentation, we have implemented that ticketing system since 2015 and is currently, as I've indicated, operational in Tshwane. That particular ticketing system basically is deployed in the city of Tshwane in the two bus operators that are under our jurisdiction, being Arieng and Tshwane Bus Services. This particular system was implemented in line with the then DOT or National Department of Transport requirement, and those requirement mainly was that it must be EMV compliant and the EMV card must be banked issues. I can also confirm that in terms of duty, there has been amendment of the regulations relating to the integrated fare system, which require that cities must actually implement the account-based ticketing system solution through the central clearinghouse. So this particular process, Chair, is similar to what has been presented earlier on in terms of what Joburg was talking about. If you can move to the next slide. In terms of why we have opted for this particular system together with province, basically to eliminate handling of cash. Already in the city own systems, we do not have a cash that is being handled in our system. Basically, your TVS and REA, you will not have a situation where you have to pay cash, except that you need to pay at various points where we are selling these cards. Again, the main purpose was to improve collection efficiencies, also to have introduced innovative and appropriate fare structures, and also the integrated transport experience between different public transport operators. As I've indicated, currently we can talk about interoperability between two bus operations, but that has not been extended to other service providers like PATCO or PRASA and even Gautrain. And that is the exercise that we have undertaken between ourselves, DOT, and SANRA in terms of this particular ABT system that we have been talking about. If you look at the benefits, I think I'll just focus on the bullet 3, where we're talking about a tickless system enabling passengers to travel using secured smart card, cardless system, which will offer COT and all other participating operators a cost-efficient fare collection system. I think what is important here is that it will enable users to travel on our public transport system provided by the city and ultimately to travel on an integrated network of public transport services operated by all public transport service providers in the city of Tshwane and beyond. I think that is what is important because we are part and parcel of the Gauteng global city region. I think if we can go to the next slide. These are some of the aspects that we are discussing. In my previous slide, I've indicated that there are new regulations that are in the process of being implemented by DOT, and those regulations, until they are promulgated, it will mean that we'll have to basically discuss the technicalities while we are waiting for the actual regulation to be promulgated. But there are a number of things that we are discussing. We have weekly sessions with Central and DOT where we are looking at a number of things, mainly the future of existing fare product, looking at the transit stored value points, concession users. Mainly in our system, we have scholars, pensioners, and people with disability that are actually receiving concession in terms of the system that we are having in Tshwane, as well as registered and those that are not registered users. So those are the discussions that we are having with Central and DOT. But again, I think the other important aspect is the approach that we need to follow in terms of whether we follow the Big Bang approach or we follow a phase approach, given the fact that we need to take into consideration the cost implication thereof. I also wanted to highlight one particular point in relation to this particular process that we are engaging with Central, is the fact that we need to still finalize, or we are in the process of finalizing a memorandum of agreement with Central in relation to this particular concept. In the main, because Central need to develop the banking house back office solutions together with other technical specifications. So, Chair, in the main, really, once the memorandum of agreement is been approved, memorandum of agreement has been signed, it will then be processed through the approvals in terms of our governance structure, in terms of getting the necessary approval from the mayoral committee. And once that has been done, we will be able to start with the actual implementation. But I think what is important is the fact that the technical work is already continuing in relation to aspect relating to the issues that I've indicated around the technical specifications. So in terms of the undertaking that has been given, is the fact that the promulgation of those regulations, it is targeted that they will be approved or finalized by the year end. And that will basically help us as well to look at our own tariff structures, because on an annual basis we go to mayoral committee and council to get the approval of those fare structures. So, Chair, I think as we have indicated at the beginning, in terms of readiness, even though we have a system that is currently operational, it does not meet the requirement in terms of the one ticketing system as requested by the portfolio committee. But these are all the activities that we are undertaking to make sure that together with DOT Sanral, we have a system that can be operational within COT and beyond. And that is what we have highlighted in our previous point. So the other aspects are more of technical nature, but at the end of the day, these are what our technical teams are actually working on. So as I've indicated in terms of the technical work that the teams are doing, this is just to confirm that while we are dealing with all the necessary approval, there is work that is being undertaken, mainly around the memorandum of agreement, which has been discussed between the teams, and that particular memorandum of agreement need to be processed and be approved by a mayoral committee. And at the same time, DOT is working on the regulation promulgations. So I've reflected on the weekly integration meetings that are taking place to resolve issues, and basically those are being tracked on a regular basis. So, Chair, at the moment, as I've indicated, the status quo, we have a system not interoperable, only looking at our own bus services. The work that we are doing currently is to ensure that we work and ensure that all modes of transport are actually integrated. I think that is the presentation. I think the other aspect in terms of provincial involvement, there has been engagement with province, and I'm aware that the Gautrain Management Service is actually dedicated towards ensuring that that integration to take place with cities. Yes. That's all.
No, thank you very much for the presentation. May I check with members of the committee for any questions, anything that the committee members would want to ask? We'll start with Member Du Plessis. You fine? Okay. Member Mfikwe?
Thanks, Chair. Still raising the same questions that we raised when we were engaging with the City of Joburg. We don't seem to be thinking outside the City of Tshwane. And that talks to our work not focusing on the integrated transport plan, because it looks like the e-ticketing system is only going to be used around and in Tshwane only, and probably on the Tshwane Rea Vaya, and does not talk about how train chair, as you asked, does not talk about integrating with the other public transport services, which is the spirit of the integrated transport plan, including the integrated e-ticketing system. Because we can't be saying we are role players or participants in the Gauteng city region, but we're still working in our little silos and wanting to use technology that does not necessarily go out into the realization of Gauteng being a city region, you know, that we want to see going forward. So my questions are still the same. Where are we in terms of navigating ourselves as the city of Tshwane towards the realization of the integrated system, including the plan on its own? And also, are we, maybe taking your question, Chair, and I heard that we seem to be having some engagement with the department and Gautrain. What about PATCO? What about the taxi services? Because what the integrated e-ticketing system must do, must allow us to hop on and off and use different types of public transport. There are areas in Tshwane that the Tshwane River does not arrive at. So you want, when Matshidiso has bought a ticket, be able to use it either on a taxi or on a train, you know, because then it's one integrated fare system, you know. So we are not talking about that. And I guess also the municipality that's following, so that we don't keep on asking the same question, can they talk about that as well? Are we envisioning an integrated e-ticketing system that talks to the Gauteng city region? Then we don't have to keep on asking the same question. Thanks, Chair.
No, thanks very much. Maybe just a last bite from myself. I think it's again similar to what we saw in the Joburg presentation, that we are still a way off from a fully integrated ticketing system that covers the province. And yeah, so I think Tshwane, the same as Joburg, probably focusing internally as a city first and then going to move out afterwards. But that's the only observation I would make. There is work being done, but we're a long way, we're a good way off before we see this integrated ticketing system. And I think, I'll leave a comment for when we deal with the report to the committee maybe. But back to yourself, or MMC Matebe, is there anything that you would want to come in on, or shall we hand straight back to your team?
You may hand straight back to my team. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, MMC. Yeah, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. From my side, it's just an acknowledgement of the issues that were raised. The fact that we're still at planning phase, and that process is still going to require a lot of engagement between parties in terms of ensuring that whatever the system that we are going to implement is actually going to be of use and benefit to all users, mainly either in terms of the major public transport operators and also, for example, your provincial bus contract operators, including in future phasing it to ensure that it covers even the taxi industry. I think what we have reflected that ours is more of a phased approach, taking into account that this is a system that is being introduced, that is new, but ultimately we want to have a situation where anyone can be able to tap into the system. And the intention of this account-based ticketing system is actually meant to ensure that any user is able to travel on our public transport services either in Tshwane and beyond without having to pay using different cards. And that's all what we are working towards. And unfortunately, we have the buy-in and support of the National Department of Transport. Thank you.
That's super. Thanks very much. I think, though, again, the presentation does help us in terms of what we're trying to zoom in on. MMC Matebe, maybe just to say thank you to you and your team for the presentation. It, again, does give us a very clear understanding of where the city of Tshwane is at the moment. Probably similar to Joburg, implementing things internally in the city, and then
would start to spread out to other areas of modes of transport in the province. But thank you very much, and we do appreciate the work that's being done on this integrated fare management system, which is quite intricate. It's quite not a simple system. But I think we are all looking forward to that day when you just have one card and you use only one card on different modes of transport. I'm sure with the commitment and dedication of the teams in various municipalities and provincial departments, etc., I'm sure we will get there sooner rather than later. So thank you very much, MC Mateb. And if you could please be able to stay with us.
And we are also in a process of finalizing the MOA with Sandral and the Department of National Transport. So in essence, we are more or less in the same, progress is more or less the same with the other city. We are working on the MOA, and in 4 months we will be finalizing the pilot, hopefully, because the technical work with regards to APT is undergoing. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, so I think it's quite a brief report, but I guess your presentation, when you send it to us, probably go into a little bit more detail. But I think the indication is very clear, members, that City of Ekurhuleni is perhaps in a similar stage as City of Tshwane and City of Joburg. Although, let me just say this, that if I look at the presentations we've received from the City of Johannesburg and the City of Tshwane, it's very detailed. They are at a fairly advanced stage on a number of aspects, but without a presentation, it's difficult for us to ascertain whether the City of Ekurhuleni is at the same stage and at the same state of play as the other two municipalities. So I think whilst we appreciate the report, it's a bit brief and doesn't give us too much of a sense in relation to the other two municipalities. And the worry one would have is it sounds to me like City of Ekurhuleni is a bit behind. But again, that's because we don't have anything in front of us. But that's the sense one gets. I hope it's not the truth, not the case, but that's the sense we get. So let me check with members quickly. Member du Plessis, anything from your side? Sure.
Chair, thank you very much. And I think, again, Member Mfiku did allude to this, is that, you know, there needs to be some kind of coordination. We can't sit with 3 metros and maybe later on municipalities that have got their own systems, because these systems need to feed into each other. You mentioned earlier on Gautrain. So there's a number of factors that I think that maybe on a provincial level one needs to have a look at, you know, so there's integration between the systems, so that when the systems are rolled out at a point in time, we have got integration that looks at a person traveling from Ekurhuleni to Tshwane to Joburg having a Gauteng experience and not just a metro or a city experience. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Member du Plessis. Member Fikwe, anything from you?
Thanks, Chair. I don't know what is the contribution of Ekurhuleni in the discussion, really. I wouldn't want us to even focus on the presentation that is not a presentation given to us, because we don't even know if it's an authentic presentation. It doesn't not necessarily talk to what we want to hear, except on some, I mean, the fact that we don't even have a presentation, Chair, for me it's a problem. And I feel that Ekurhuleni is just taking us for granted. Ordinarily, Chair, I guess we have been generous in allowing the gentleman to give a presentation that only him sees and none of us sees, none of us has engaged. So I truly feel that Ekurhuleni must never do that to the committee. If the other 2 municipalities respected the committee enough to develop and give us the written presentations, I think Ekurhuleni was supposed to do the same, you know, and I guess in future when we call the Department of Transport from all municipalities, we are asking that they treat us with the respect that we want to be accorded, and we would have accorded them to come present to us. I don't think we would have wanted to really waste anybody's time by calling municipalities to come sit here. So there's no presentation, there's no engagement, Chair, and maybe then the team from Mekureni would have to give us a presentation. Then we are able to engage on that presentation. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, members. I don't think there's really any questions on this presentation. However, I think what I want to do is I want to conclude on this FIS engagement now. Member Duplessis, if you're all right with that. I think having listened to the city of Johannesburg, having listened to the city of Tshwane, and in brief, the city of Ekurhuleni, I do think that we will have to make sure that before we complete this first study, we would have to have another engagement with the provincial department. But I don't want to do that now, because I think it is clear there is no real coordination. It doesn't seem to be coordinating the three metros, even the other municipalities actually. But we decided to focus on the three metros. And I think I would say to the committee team, support team, we need to look at asking the department to come and just discuss with us and present with us their actual view of where things are, given the presentations we've had today. Because it really ideally should be led by the province as well. And at this stage, I'm just a bit worried that we don't seem to have that coordination, but maybe we're wrong. And so I suggest that we close the discussion here now on this integrated fare management system, and that we, in one of the next meetings, before we have to finalize the report, we have an engagement with the provincial department, just to get a sense as to where we are going and what are the timeframes, etc. But Mr. Majia, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. But please could you convey to the team, we'll also send correspondence to the MMC. We need a detailed presentation, similar to what Tshwane and Johannesburg would have given us. But thank you very much for joining us up here. We do appreciate that. So, members, I want to move with speed and just get my notes here, sorry. So I think we've got one real item left, and that is here with us in the hall. We've got members of the community from Zonkizizwe and other areas, and I want to open up now to give yourselves an opportunity. Anything you may want to raise with the provincial department of transport. There's a transport portfolio committee, so we're not able to help necessarily with housing issues and other provincial government issues. If there are, we'll take note of them and try and get answers. We'll also try and ask the department to help us. But really, we want to open up. You've listened to the portfolio committee. It's been a long morning. It's hot. But I want to open up for anybody who would want to make any inputs or questions to the department on transport-related matters. You've heard us raising the provincial road coming from Klip River. The MEC responded on that. But let me open up and take any questions that you may have transport-related. Is there anybody on this side here? This side here, is there anybody who wants to ask anything? Okay, let's come to this side. Anybody who wants to ask? I see 1, 2, 3 hands. The gentleman in the white t-shirt, gentleman in the black cap, and the lady in a white hat. Those are the 3 hands that I will recognize. Can we just give them a... Which way? Oh, I didn't see. Sorry. Sorry, but there are 3 hands. Person in a white t-shirt, black hat, white hat. Those are the 3 hands that I will take. Please give us your name
and your surname. Just tell us where you're from, or if you're from a particular organization, so we can capture it on the recording, but please proceed. 3 minutes, 4 minutes for your question. Thank you.
No, thanks, Chair. I'll be short and precise. My name is Terence Mnetis Buthelezi from Vosloorus, Ward 47, and I'm a member of Ward Committee under the sector of infrastructure services. Chair, my questions, I just have 3 questions, but I just want to stress my disappointment, Chair, by Ekurhuleni Transport, Chair, because we didn't receive any report, Chair, because we are from Ekurhuleni and we were looking forward to the developments around Ekurhuleni, because our transport system, Chair, it's depleted. I mean, you go around Ekurhuleni, there's potholes, the roads are small. As you have highlighted, that Ekatlong, maybe they need to open up roads there because of traffic and congestion, Chair. So I was looking forward to the report by our MMC, Andile, so it's very disappointing, Chair.
Sorry,
So
can I, before you proceed, can I just
Okay.
correct you on one thing? This committee meeting was never going to receive a report from Ekurhuleni on the state of transport. The report we were going to get from the city of Ekurhuleni was on the integrated fare management system. So I wanted to correct that because I think it would be very unfair to express disappointment in the MMC for no report. We never asked for a report on Ekurhuleni's transport overall. We asked for a presentation on the integrated fare management system. So I just wanted to correct you on that. Sorry for interrupting you. Thanks.
Oh, okay, Chair. No, thanks, Chair. I think it was that and the PRT system, because it has been launched, I think 10 years ago here, 2016. But so far, we don't know any developments around that. And together with the train system, there have been engagements, but so far, we don't know anything that is happening around. And also, Chair, lastly, maybe for SMMEs, Chair, what are the opportunities? How can we access those opportunities as service providers? No, thanks, Chair. I submit.
Okay, thank you very much.
Greetings, everybody. My name is Skumbozo Albert Shalala. I'm from Ward 47. I'm in HOD of Youth under Council's Tandinkosi. Okay, I won't speak that much because my colleague here has already spoken what I was supposed to say. What I will plead is that let's do not sit here and this thing end up here. Because it's not the first time we have seated here and discussing about development, IDP, etc. But when it comes to implementation, we can implement, but when it comes to service delivery, that thing don't happen. It takes time, it can take 5 years, it can take 3 years instead to deliver. So we plead, as we seated here, let's do not waste our time and your time also by discussing and engaging. Let's see by service delivery. Because as we still talk about gravels and roads, if we can take you where we are seated now, you won't believe that our roads, we call it roads or what, because there's a lot of potholes and there's a lot of damage that are happening and there's a lot of flooding and all those things. So we plead, including to our councillors, I like to send a message, even them, they must take us seriously, even they must take community seriously. When people, they have a problem, they must take initiative seriously so that people, they can see by the good example from the government side, because it seems like we are not doing our jobs, no matter we are trying our level best to the society. I plead, thank you.
Can I just, sorry sir, can I just check with you, the area where there's potholes, is that here in Zonkizizwe?
Actually, I'm coming from Vosloorus.
Oh. Okay,
Yes.
okay. So are you talking about internal roads in
Yes,
Vosloorus?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Just
you.
wanted to get clarity on that.
Okay.
And the next speaker, please.
Thanks, Chair, and the House at large. My name is Jabulani Mkhonza from Kwatsaduza in Tsakane, Ward 83. I'm a chairperson of a Committers Forum of KwaZaduza and a member of SANCO as well. Yeah, I just wanted to raise some few questions here in regards with monitoring measures on the tendering system. Because since again we are having the problem with transport, and the last year we heard that tender was issued to JR Chwiwu. Until now, there's nothing is happening in Tsakane. We are still having a problem with buses. So we wanted to know that is it JR Chwiwu available or not? And then what measures do you implement on contractors? The other thing that I wanted to raise, since as my brothers have spoken about the Harambee, from 2016, we were told that the Harambee will resolve the problem that we are having in Tsakane. But nothing has happened. We can see Harambee is being implemented at Tembisa only. There is a road which are constructed in Tsakane from Vosloorus via Nigel in Tsakane, but there's nothing is happening. Everything is still. I wanted to raise this thing because I've said there are roads that are falling under municipality and there are that are at province. There is a road which was constructed recently in Tsakane, at Malandela Street. It's already depleted. That road is, because of time and again, the water is closed, and then when the sewage overflowing, that road become depleted again. And that road is still new, but if you can check at the potholes, it's like a dam. And if that road was properly constructed, it is a feeder to Harambee. It was going to help in terms of a transport for us. The other thing that we having problems with transport ever since our government took over. A lot of things have changed without any consultation. I remember when we were still kids, they were on the fees, they were half price for kids. But now everything is flat rate. There's no kid, there's no half price, it's only adults. In the things that of a ticketing system, it was long before said. I remember when we were at smart mobility, we were told about this thing of smart ticketing or e-ticketing. But always there are good concepts, but they are not implemented. And at Ekurhuleni, we are having a problem because of really, Ekurhuleni has failed us dismally. And the Department of Transport still has failed us dismally. Because since now we are looking at that, maybe we could get what you have said, deviation plan. We have been asking for that deviation plan till now, nothing has happened. Because of they said, the problem that we are having in KwaDuza, there is a plan that they can put in place. But instead, they've sent us on the line dance to the taxis. Still now, we are still having that problem. So we are appealing to you as a portfolio committee. This is not the first day that we are raising this thing. Always when we are coming to the legislature, we are raising this thing, but it is not being solved till now. Thanks.
Sorry, sir, can I ask you to do us a favor, please? Because you're raising a whole range of things. Can you give us, we can give you the email address. Where's Fumlani? Fumlani, don't you want to just get the gentleman's contact details? Let's arrange to get all that information, the different roads, the different issues that he's raising, and from the other speakers as well. If they could all if we could just collate that information so that we can feed what some of the points they're raising through to the MMC for transport here in Ekurhuleni, because some of these are Ekurhuleni matters. In fact, most of them are. So if we can just get the three speakers could just work with Phumlani there so that he can get all the information, so we can pass it through to the MMC for transport, because we don't want to pretend we know what's happening when we might not really know. But I want to check HOD. There are various points that have been raised, whether there's anything that the department is able to respond on. But at the same time, HOD, whether, because I know it's a practice that yourselves have done before in such engagement sessions, where you've actually also as a department forwarded that information through to the relevant transport department in a particular municipality. So I'm not sure whether you'd be able to do that again, to take up some of those issues on behalf of the community here, but we will also take them up. Over to you, HOD, and your team.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon to all members of the portfolio and MMCs and the members of the community. I think, Chair, the issue being raised on the tender system, I think is referring to JR2. There hasn't been any tender. Let me start and correct it. What we have done, this is a national contract, which it's a contract of the national government, Department of Transport. What we then did was to look at what are the options available. You remember, Chair, we have reported to the portfolio committee that around second quarter of last year, there was a tender, and that tender was litigated. And because of the challenges with support from national, because it was not a provincial contract, it was the contract of the national. Then the national department does not support the province in that regard. And therefore, we had no mandate to proceed, and that created a mandate, a limitation to the province. And therefore, that tender process fell away. But in terms of direct communities, we do have different structures, what we call communitas forums and so forth. Probably what we need to do going forward as a commitment is to strengthen our discussion with them and see whether they do report to commuters on the ground. But directly, we work through those forums that are established at a provincial level. And my assumption is that they have a cascading effect in terms of the regions and locales and so forth. So we'll work on it, Chair, in terms of stakeholder engagement. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, HOD. I think we've covered most of the issues, as I say, that were raised were municipal issues, and that's what Phumlani is busy sitting there with yourselves, just getting all that information together so that we can forward that to the MMC, Mgwevu, to follow up, particularly the issue of the Vosloorus roads. And I think Phumlani, you can add Jongizizwe as well here, because there's lots of potholes in the main street of this area. So I think let's put that in there as well, that they'll do a formal letter from myself to the MMC just to raise the points that have been raised here. So I think, honourable members and guests here, MMC is online, and the HOD and the team from the Provincial Department of Transport, we have really come to the end of our major work here. We've got a couple of items we must deal with, which maybe, Mr. Mbisa, you need to, have you got your microphone there? So let me firstly say thank you very much to the MMCs, MMC Matebe, MMC Kunene, and their respective teams from Johannesburg and Tshwane. Thank you very much for joining us. You are free to leave us on the online platform. We're just going to finish off final bit of committee business. I also want to express appreciation to the HOD and the team that have been here with us this morning. Thank you very much. And also let me thank the MEC as well. I think she might still be online, but thank you very much to the MEC for joining us. We really appreciate that. And to you, our guests here, we appreciate you joining us and coming through to this particular committee meeting. This is the work of a committee. Sometimes it's very long, sometimes it's lots of talking, lots of presentations, but it's part of the work that we do. But we appreciate you being here and hope that you found benefit to be here with us. So what we're going to do now is just deal with the last few items that will take us a few minutes, and then we'll be finished. So I just thought I'd indicate that. But for the teams with the MMCs that are online, if you want to exit online, please feel free to do so. And again, thank you for joining us. We appreciate that. I want to move with speed onto item 7 on the study on the political economy of transport in the province. Let me speak to that. A draft report has been finalized. Just to indicate, we've done a huge study of transport across the province. And we will engage with the City of Johannesburg, with MMC Kunene's office, to make sure we get an input from the City of Joburg before we finalize that report. So that's where we are there, members. And I think you have the draft report. And if there's an updated draft report, Stimbiso and Fumlani, let's distribute that to members as well so that we can go through it. In terms of item 8, the NCOP and provincial bills, Fumlani, just quickly take us through the process there. Oh, Stimbiso, sorry.
Okay, thank you, Chair. In terms of the NCOP bills that are before the committee, there are 3 bills, of which is the Marine Pollution Bill, as well as also the Transport Appeal Tribunal Bill, as well as the Railway Safety Bill. In terms of the 2 bills, which is the Marine Pollution and Transport Appeal Tribunal, the committee has been briefed on such. So in the course of next week, we will be getting a view from the department in terms of what is their view on those 2 bills. But in terms of the Railway Safety Bill, the committee will be receiving a briefing from the National Department of Transport in terms of that, because the committee has not yet been briefed on such a bill. So the proposed public hearing on the 3 bills has now been proposed for the 29th of February, which will be in Tshwane, of which all the transport concerned stakeholders will be informed via the adverts and whatever platform of communication with regards to that. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Stimbiso. So members, that's the update there. That's where we stand on those bills. In terms of items 9 and 10 and 11, I will just say there's nothing to report. Stimbiso, the date of our next meeting, please.
Thank you, Chair. The date of the next meeting of the committee will be on 15th of February. It's proposed for the West Rand district, which will be at this point in Hagport. And after the committee meeting, the committee will also be embarking on the oversight visits in terms of the progress on the roads that were maintained in the airport area, which were damaged by flooding during the early 2023 as well as late 2022. That is the program for next week. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Stimbiso. So members, the committee meeting will be in the West Rand next week. I know they're trying to check for a venue, which will be advised of the venue accordingly. If we can please be there, it would be good. So on that note, honourable members, HOD and your team, MMCs for transport, still online, your team. Okay. All right, on that note, the meeting, may I also express and say thank you to the technical team for the provision and setting up the sound systems, the cameras, etc. Thank you to yourselves as well. And those who've been online with us on Facebook and YouTube, thank you very much for joining us. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.